we are entering into the study of growth hormone. As you all are aware, this growth hormone is actually produced from the pituitary gland and it is secreted into the circulation. Where is this pituitary gland located? You can see here it is in the brain. And how is it going to affect us? It is very clear from the name of the hormone. It is a growth hormone. It is controlling the growth related aspects of the body. You see, when the amount of the growth hormone is in the correct rate or concentration or availability, growth is normal. When the production of this hormone is very little, we will not grow. At the same time, if the production of this hormone is in far excess compared to what is required, then our body will grow gigantically and both are not good. Let us see this hormone in detail. What are the factors that stimulate or inhibit the secretion of growth hormone? These are the stimulating factors. A lower or a decreased blood glucose level and decreased blood fatty acid levels stimulate the secretion of growth hormone. At the same time, increased blood glucose and increased concentration of free fatty acids in the blood both lead to a reduction in the growth hormone secretion. Starvation, fasting, protein deficiency, etc. will lead to a stimulation of growth hormone secretion. And stress, excitement, trauma, exercise, testosterone, estrogen, deep sleep, you see, and growth hormone releasing hormone actually that is produced from the hypothalamus. These are all leading to the stimulation of secretion of growth hormone. While aging, as the age increases, growth hormone secretion decreases. Obesity, growth hormone inhibitory hormone also called somatostatin, and any exogenous application of growth hormones and somatomedins, etc. are reducing the secretion of growth hormones. And you may be aware that all hormones of the pituitary, including growth hormone, are actually proteinaceous hormones. You see, on this axis we have the plasma level of growth hormone in nanogram per milli of the blood plasma. While here we have the different situations. You see, in case of kwashiorkor or protein deficiency, there will be a maximum amount 40 nanogram of the growth hormone per ml of the plasma. Very high amount. While if we are getting a carbohydrate treatment for a 3 days time period, again there will be a high concentration of growth hormone, because growth hormone will stimulate the removal of carbohydrate from the blood. And if we get a protein treatment for 3 days, then the concentration of plasma growth hormone is lesser. But if the protein treatment is continuing for up to 25 days, then the growth hormone concentration in the plasma still decreases. Let us see the reasons in detail. What are the functions of growth hormone? It promotes growth of many body tissues at the same time. Growth hormone is also called somatotropic hormone or somatotropin. It's a peptide molecule of 191 amino acid. It causes the growth of almost all tissues of the body which are capable of growing. And it promotes increased size of the cells and increased mitosis. So growth hormone increases the rate of mitosis. With the development of a greater number of cells and specific differentiation of certain types of cells, which are the bone growth cells, early muscle cells, etc. So, growth hormone is responsible for the increase in the number of bone cells, then early muscle cells, etc. Here's the graph. Suppose growth hormone is injected on a daily basis. This is a control, means growth hormone is not injected, while this red one is the test. You can see the graph is growing up regularly. What is here on the x-axis? I mean on the vertical axis? Body weight. So as the concentration of growth hormone increases, even if it is exogenous, body weight will increase. Then today I have a question. Body weight is given in grams. Is it applicable to human beings? Look here. This was a test animal, rat. But the same thing, proportionately it is applicable to human beings also. Okay. So what's the function of growth hormone? When it was injected into rat, marked enhancement of growth in the early days of life and even after the rats reached adulthood. The experiment was conducted in 2 rats actually. Even after reaching adulthood, the body weight is increasing because of exogenous application of growth hormone. And in the early stages of development, all organs increased proportionately in size. While after reaching adulthood, most of the bones stopped lengthening, but many soft tissues continued to grow. The same thing is applicable to human beings also. That's why your height is not increasing after a certain age in your life. After a certain age in your life, your height will not increase even if you are even though you are continuously producing growth hormones in your body. We are coming to that topic later also. It's because the epiphyses of the long bones have united with their shaft, and no more lengthening of the bones occur. That's why the length of the body does not increase. We will come to this topic again in another slide. Functions of growth hormone: increase the rate of protein synthesis in almost every cell of the body, while increased mobilization of fatty acids from the adipose tissue. Their concentration therefore increases in the blood. Therefore, more of the fatty acids are used for energy. So the concentration of fatty acids actually decreases. Then decrease the rate of glucose utilization in the body, and the growth hormone enhances the body protein, which means it increases the quantity of proteins. At the same time, it consumes fat stores and conserving carbohydrates. So if you have more growth hormone in the body, it will conserve proteins, fat, etc. At the same time, it will use up all the fat reserve. Growth hormones promote protein deposition in tissues. And what about membranes? Growth hormone directly enhances transport of amino acids throughout the cell membranes. You know why? Amino acids need to be transported into a cell where photosynthesis is taking place, simply because amino acids are used as the raw materials for the synthesis of proteins. But for the protein synthesis, you know that messenger RNAs and other RNA molecules should be produced, because transfer RNA is required, ribosomal RNA is required for protein synthesis. So all those things are increased in concentration by means of increased rate of transcription also. Why transcription is increasing? Because more RNA is to be produced. Why translation is increasing? Because more protein is produced. So all those things are interconnected. As I told you, nuclear transcription is increasing. And since the growth hormone is responsible for conservation of body protein, it decreases catabolism of proteins. Instead, fat is mostly utilized. So growth hormone enhances almost all facets of amino acid uptake and protein synthesis. At the same time, it reduces the breakdown of proteins. What about carbohydrate? Multiple effect on carbohydrate metabolism. Decreased glucose uptake in tissues. Increased glucose production by the liver. How? You might have heard of gluconeogenesis. Okay. And increase the rate of insulin secretion. Actually, it will lead to something called insulin resistance. You know why? Because it is minimizing the insulin's actions to stimulate uptake and utilization of glucose. It also inhibit gluconeogenesis. What inhibit actually insulin? So this effect of insulin is reduced by growth hormone. Ultimately, increased blood glucose concentration is the result. That's why often we say growth hormone is diabetogenic in nature. And necessity of insulin and carbohydrate for the growth promoting action of growth hormone. You see, growth hormone fails to cause growth in an animal that lacks pancreas. If the pancreas is removed, then that animal does not grow even if growth hormone is present. It also fails to cause growth if carbohydrates are not present in the diet. So there is a relation between carbohydrate and growth hormone and growth. You can see is clearly visible here. You see, the requirement for carbohydrate and insulin is to provide energy for the metabolism and of growth. And insulin's ability to enhance the transport of some amino acid into cells. That is actually stimulating glucose transport. As I told you earlier, it enhances fat utilization. All aspects of fatty acid utilization for generating energy is actually increased. It is ketogenic in nature because when the fats are broken down, acetyl coenzyme A acetyl coenzyme A molecules are produced. Their acetoacetic acid is produced thereafter. These are all ketone bodies. So increasing the concentration of ketone bodies is called ketosis. That's the indirect effect of the increased amount of growth hormones. It stimulates the cartilage and bone growth. You see, actually growth hormone increases growth rate of bones, increased deposition of protein by chondrocytic and osteogenic cells, increased mitosis of these cells, and effect on conversion of chondrocytes into osteogenic cells, causing deposition of new bone. There are two ways of bone growth. You read from here onwards. In response to growth hormone stimulation, the bones grow in length at the epiphyseal cartilage, where the epiphyses at the ends of the bones are separated from the shaft. This growth first causes deposition of new cartilage. Then this cartilage is converted into a new bone. Accordingly, new cartilage is produced, and this cartilage is later converted into new bone. That is how length of the bone is increasing. At the same time, the epiphyseal cartilage itself is used up. Its quantity decreases, so that by the time of your age, no additional epiphyseal cartilage is remaining there to provide bone length. Therefore, bony fusion occurs between the shaft and the epiphyses, and your body length will not increase anymore. Let us see this in a figure. You see, this is the figure, best figure. This is the bone. You can see epiphyses. You can see diaphyses. This is an X-ray. This is the diaphysis. At the end, you have the metaphysis, the enlarged tip region is the metaphysis. Here you have the growth plate, and here you have the epiphysis. So more and more cartilage is deposited here. Then that cartilage is becoming bony tissue. According the length of the bone is increasing in that direction. As more and more cartilage is becoming bones, the amount of the cartilage that actually decreases. So by the time you reach 18, 20, 22 years of age, late adolescence, not even 22, actually around 20 like that. No more cartilage is remaining there to be converted into the bone. So we say the fusion has taken place. Bone will not grow anymore. That's what is happening. And the second way of bone formation also is given here. And remember, growth hormone stimulate osteoblast. That means the bones continue to be thicker and thicker throughout the life under the influence of growth hormone. But no, but remember, this is the increase in thickness, diameter, not in length. So make a note of it. And you see here, jaw bones can be stimulated to grow even after adolescence, causing forward protrusion, etc. And that way, it can become sometimes abnormal also. Disorders of growth hormone. If there is excessive growth hormone, before the union of epiphysis, it will lead to gigantism. While after the union of epiphysis, it will lead to acromegaly, because you know that in some part of the body, the bones can still increase in length. While if the amount of growth hormone is lesser, in children, it will lead to dwarfism. That means when you are children, if the amount of growth hormone was less, it would have led to dwarfism. While in adults, if the growth hormones production is decreasing, it will lead to the loss of some body proteins. That's all. What is the union of epiphysis? The same paragraph was given earlier also. So don't worry. You found this figure earlier. This is where the growth of the bone is taking place. What's acromegaly? It's a condition adult caused by hypersecretion of growth hormone. And the gigantism, you know that it is taking place in children or in adolescents when the amount of growth hormone is very too much in concentration. Here, dwarfism. All these people are actually having dwarfism. I told you the condition, etc. Even at the age of 10 years, the child may appear to be at the age of 4 or 5. At the age of 20 years, they may appear to be at the age of around 7 or 10. There's a problem in many of the people having this problem, but not in all. What happens, sufficient gonadotropy hormone, sex hormones will not be produced, so they will not be matured sexually. Remember, not in all people having dwarfism, but in many people. That's all. Okay, that's why in our state, some famous personalities are there. They are actually dwarf in nature, but they are happily married and they have children also. It's because their sex hormones are normally functioning. Okay. This is gigantism. Gigantism, you see, this person is having much more height than the other people of his age. You see this person. And this also is actually not that much good, because the workload of the heart will increase in such people. So the blood will have to be pumped to a greater distance by the heart. It will lead to actually heart problems in the later stages of life. Reasons are explained here very well. Acromegaly, you look at the shape of the bone, etc. Maybe because of a tumor of the tissues, etc. Too much growth hormone is produced. Enlargement is there in the hands and feet and in the membranous bones, including cranium, nose, bones of forehead. Supraorbital means about above the eyes, etc. Lower jawbone, you can see the lower jawbone is particularly increasing in length. That's why this is happening. Okay, the things are very clearly mentioned here, and that much only about growth hormone.